Hello, YouTube land. We are trying something new today that I'm calling NTX Live. Last week we did an kind of an impromptu live thing, which was in response to a prior video about acquiring record stores, acquired collections, and a bunch of people on had a lot of good questions, and it was just really cool to be interacting. And so I thought, maybe there's an opportunity to do something a little more casual and a little less scripted and go live maybe on a weekly basis. I don't know. We'll see. I've got a little bit of an agenda of things I'd like to potentially talk through in regards to updates, what's going on with NTX Vinyl, upcoming videos, even upcoming releases that are coming out this week, things that are back in stock, things I'm listening to. You get the idea. All things related to vinyl, of course. So, going to kick off here momentarily. This is very much an open discussion. So, if you have any questions, I certainly want this to act as a Q&A. I didn't promote it a ton in advance because I thought I'd just kind of see how it goes organically, which is kind of a fun way of going about things. If there's anybody on, you can hear me, let me know because I want to make sure audio is working. Otherwise, I'm talking to my. Looks like it is though, so we're gonna kick off here shortly. I think the first thing. Hey, right on, Chris. Can you hear me? Eric, you can hear me. Okay, thank you guys for confirming. Got a few people trickling in, so I'm just kind of getting things kicked off. So this is I think this is going to become a weekly thing, honestly. I like the ability to actually interact with people more in a live setting. Obviously, it's great via, online community, social media, but doing live where, people can actually ask me questions and I can interact with people. There's just so much more value there. And I think more than anything for people who really care about, well, what I'm doing, let's be honest, but just about what's going on in the world of vinyl and record shops and the record industry. Thought it would be a good opportunity for people to get even a further glimpse kind of behind the scenes, if you will. Again, just because you have the ability to kind of ask me anything you want. But as far as NTX is concerned, a couple things I wanted to touch on at the top, for my local customers, and then other people I'm sure saw because I expose everybody, not just local customers, when it comes to online. We expanded one of our locations recently. This past weekend was the kind of relaunch, I guess you could say, of our Highland Village location, which is really close by where I'm at now at my home, which is where NTX Vinyl really started. We expanded that location substantially, almost doubled the capacity in regards to records. And I just have a ton of new inventory loaded in there. So it was an amazing weekend. Labor Day weekend is always a big one for people, especially when weather's good. And it wasn't bad here. Still hot, of course, down in Dallas, but yeah. So the weekend was great. So excited to see so many people flocking to the shop now that it's been kind of reimagined, if you will. It's a much cleaner space. It's more contained. Like I mentioned, a lot more records, and it just feels a little bit more like a record shop. Because if you know what I do, my shops, I'm not at my shops. They are standalone inside of boutique, antique slash malls, whatever you want to call it. Um, which means you can stop by any time and shop, and you're not going to see me there. Which to a lot of times is confusing. People are like, "All right, I'll see you this weekend." I'm like, "No, you won't. You won't see me there." But that's okay. So the shop expansion was great. Very excited about that. The other thing that was really cool, really just over the last 24, 48 hours, is I've got like I think over 100 new subscribers on YouTube. Um, yeah, you mean booth. Yes, I do mean booth. I call them shop, booth, whatever you want to call them. The YouTube thing has been great because it's been a little stagnant, mainly because I haven't been pumping out a ton of content over the summer. It's just been hard with a lot of travel and things like that. But I'm kind of getting back to it now, which is exciting. And then seeing, I think it was over 120 new subscribers in the last 24, 48 hours, which was awesome. So I don't know if any of those people may end up tuning in on this. Regardless, it's great to have more people kind of joining what we do, and hopefully that will continue to grow. The vast majority of those subscribers, I believe, originated from that same video, which was the how record stores acquire pre-owned collections. So I'm getting a lot of interaction on that video, which is not surprising, honestly. It's a topic that a lot of people love to hear about because it's very much insider baseball, which is cool. Let's see, upcoming videos. Oh wait, one other thing I was going to mention in regards to announcement. The other thing I'm about to kick off and launch probably tomorrow is something that if you've followed what I do at NTX Vinyl, you may remember it. There's something called the monthly spin I used to do, which is essentially a raffle for a really cool item or items. So I'm going to launch one tomorrow around a pretty sought after box set that I've got that I'm going to be raffling off. So you'll be able to get in on it for, I don't know, $5 or $10 a slot or whatever. And it'll all be announced on all the social media properties. So you'll see that tomorrow. So that'll be cool. It'll be nice to have the monthly spin back. Everyone always liked that from an interactive perspective as well. So that's cool. And then upcoming videos, I am going to do a video on the Highland Village shop or booth expansion. So look out for that. That's going to be cool because I did a good amount of time lapse videos when we were rebuilding it, when we were painting it and restocking it and putting up the shelves. Obviously, took a bunch of photos and stuff, kind of, so I can show people kind of what it was before and what it's become now. So that's really looking forward to that. Even before that, there is a new episode of Vinyl for Sale dropping tonight. So tonight, I believe 8 o'clock Central is when they drop. Look out for that. Great inventory, another batch of really good stuff, a few restocks on stuff that's sold out on previous weeks. But again, if you're not familiar with what the Vinyl for Sale show is, you can look at previous episodes on YouTube. But it'll be a good sale tonight. So keep an eye out for that if you're shopping for records. Other videos I'm planning. I'm always taking suggestions, first of all, and I have a long running list, but I know a couple things that are on my short list. That is Steve's at work, but says hello. All right. Hey, Steve. Um, let's see. Upcoming videos. I'm going to see Pearl Jam, which is one of my favorite bands ever. In just a couple weeks, I'm going to see them twice. Going to Oklahoma City to see them, and I'm going to Denver to see them. So I'm planning a variety of things just because that's what I'm listening to right now. I'm kind of amping up towards that week, towards those shows. So I'm probably going to do a Pearl Jam video around like a deep dive into their catalog. I've done a video before of my Pearl Jam vinyl collection. It's a little outdated, needs to be refreshed. But on this one, I think I'm going to just walk through their studio albums and discuss the music more so than, let's say, the records themselves, which is cool. Something I haven't done a lot of. Normally, everything I do is really anchored in the vinyl themselves, the records themselves. So a little bit of a new thing there. But the last video that I is long overdue is a reshoot just a new version of my Discogs kind of user guide video because I get so many people who still see one of my original videos, which was how to use Discogs, or I think it was called how to become a better record collector using Discogs, or how to use Discogs to become a better record collector. That's what it was. I still get tons of views on that, but it was like early days where I had zero production value, meaning most importantly, I didn't have a mic on, so it's hard to hear me. So long story short, I need to reshoot that. And plus Discogs has changed a lot and I've learned a lot more. So I'm going to reshoot that one. I think that'll be really popular because again, it's been very highly requested. So there you go. So there's what's going on in NTX land. What else was I going to go through? Obviously, if anyone has any questions, I would love to get into a discussion around anything you would like to talk about. The other things I was going to talk about, what I'm listening to. So I've got a couple albums that and if you're in my now spinning group on Facebook, which is another community that I kind of operate on, I recently showed this, and I also posted about it on TikTok today. I've been doing a lot. I've been working my ass off since like early this morning. This is a record that I just got. So this is my heavy rotation list, which is a couple of albums that I've either just started listening to or acquired. This one here, this is a 1993 promotional copy of Undertow by Tool. It is a beauty. I am so happy to have it. It is on a really cool gray silver-ish vinyl. which again, only the promo copies came on the colored vinyl, I believe. I think there might be a clear version as well. And it's got the alternative or the alternate artwork, I should say, which is really nice. This is one of those I never thought I would own. It's just crazy up there in value and rarity. And it kind of written it off, and I got lucky and I won it in a raffle. I did. It was really, really cool. Super surprised about that. So that's one that I've got in high rotation. I listened to it once already today, and it sounds fantastic. I forget how great of a record that is. Anime gets so much attention, rightfully so. But so that's Undertow. That one's in high rotation. Completely different is Dixie Chicken by Little Feat. I've had this on repeat. It was recommended to me by a friend. What a great freaking album, man. I don't even know the names of the songs real well, but I've played it front to back many, many times. Originally came out in 1973. Not an expensive album. You can find this for $5-10 easily in great condition, but I highly recommend Dixie Chicken. Dixie Chicken, if you're not familiar with Little Feat, I'm starting to explore the rest of their catalog now, which is always fun. So that's one. And then the other one I've got in pretty high rotation is this one by Wet Leg. Man, so fun. This, like most people, I heard about him from the, Shay's Lounge single. But if you're not familiar with Wet Leg, new music, I mean, it's not super new. It's been out a year, I think, at least. But this is a great band with these two chicks who are leading this band. Just write some great tunes. So I've been enjoying that one a bunch and have probably listened to that once a day for the last month, if I had to guess. So there's a few in high rotation. So that's one of the things I'm probably going to do on this video again, just because I don't talk a ton about what I spend personally. I do in that Now Spinning group, like I mentioned. If you're over on Facebook, I'll post photos of things I'm spending over there. But again, not a lot of opportunity to kind of interact with people. So I'd love to hear what anyone else is listening to. Love to take recommendations, of course. But all right, let's see. I've got a few other things, but let me see what questions we got. Printed inner sleeves versus inserts video. That's an interesting one. I'm not sure if that warrants a whole video. Could be a quick, I don't know if it's like pros and cons. Obviously, a printed inner sleeve is nice because it's typically got artwork, it's got lyrics, credits, things like that, which is always nice. And then an insert in its simplest form is usually just a double-sided 12 by 12 piece of paper with the same amount of information. So certainly cool to always have those. It's kind of I would say 50-50 these days, whether labels or artists choose a printed insert versus a sleeve versus just a plain sleeve. It really runs the gamut. Obviously, I can tell you from running a record label and producing vinyl that cost adds up. So I'm never surprised when I open up a record, even by a big time artist, big time release, and it's just got, generic inner sleeves. That's not surprising to me because, the cost of vinyl is already high. And that's a thing that everyone, artists, labels, distributors, record stores, we're all mindful of that. And so when every bell and whistle you add on, whether it's a hype sticker or a printed or sleeve or an inserted poster or insert, whatever it is, that all adds to the cost. So, maybe there is a video there. I don't know. I have to think about that one. Love to. That's one of those things I just overlook, I guess, because I'm too close to this thing and messing with records all the time. So anyway, so thanks for the suggestion. Let's see. Eric, I'm new to vinyl collecting. I picked up an unofficial Black Rock album from Frisco. What's the difference in unofficial versus official? Not like bootleg, is it? So unofficial, bootleg, counterfeit, there's a million different, not a million, there's handfuls of different terms for these things. Essentially, yes, if it's unofficial, that is a term that has developed as kind of a catch-all for anything that is not licensed, right? So you have got true bootlegs, I guess you could say, go way back to the 60s, 70s. There's a Bob Dylan record that has kind of been known as one of the first bootleg records. It's a really rare and valuable one because it was a bootleg of some studio sessions that leaked and it's not licensed. So You have the original kind of bootleg stuff when people used to go to a concert and they would have a tape recorder, and then they would take that tape recorder and then they would reproduce it, right? And so those have made it to vinyl. So you can go back and find Hendrix and Zeppelin and, like I said, Dylan and things like that, of true kind of live bootleg stuff. And then in the last, I don't know, they've been doing them a while. They're the unofficial or the counterfeit albums are ones that are like, you know, albums that need a repress badly and the artists and labels aren't doing it. So there are people overseas who are just taking advantage of that. So those are the types of things where, sometimes the quality can suffer. Sometimes the quality is great on the unofficial, you know, counterfeit type copies. I do stock them sporadically. It just depends on the albums and it depends on people what ask for, as a record store. If people are asking for a certain album and that's the only version you can get, then sometimes that's what happens. So, but again, they can definitely be hit or miss quality wise, not only audio, source, but also artwork. And so it really is nice to be able to look at those and hold them in your hands and see them, to see what the quality looks like before making a purchase. So appreciate you grabbing that from the Frisco location, though, Eric. Let me know how the quality is on it because that's one I don't think I've heard. So, all right, a few more questions. Let's see. AG Insta Vinyl, what do you think about Whatnot? I haven't pulled the trigger on anything yet. Some of the sellers seem so sketchy. So I'm very aware of Whatnot. Whatnot actually has been in touch with me, and they would love for me to sell on Whatnot. I'm not sold on it one way or the other. I haven't done it yet, so I can't speak from firsthand. So I'm always very careful to, say have an opinion on something when I haven't actually used it. What I can say, and I told Whatnot this when I spoke with them, is I did go and I looked at a lot of the auctions that were taking place, and they were super fast to the point where I was like, look, I know that this is the world we live in as far as reels and TikTok and people just flipping through videos real quick and watching 10 seconds of 100 different things. I don't necessarily do that. That's not the way I choose to consume anything. And so my initial impression was Whatnot was like, oh my God, this is so fast. And then I would also agree in that the majority of the sellers that I saw in my little sample size of the few nights that I was experimenting with Whatnot as just a viewer, that yeah, there was not a lot of quality there. There was not a lot of experience there. And in the end, even if you do have quality and experience, you got 30 seconds or 60 seconds to throw it out there and hope someone bites on it. There are some quality sellers absolutely now using that platform, and I hope it's successful for them. Maybe one day soon, or maybe not soon, I'll start using Whatnot to sell as well. My initial impression was that it was just too quick for me, and I'm not saying that auctions or sales need to be long-winded and drawn out. At the same time, I do like to whatever I'm selling actually have a chance to say something about it before the auction's over. And so again, for me, it was just super fast. And the auctions I saw, like just speaking transparently, a lot of the auctions I saw of people selling new records, at least, they weren't making any money on them because I know what new records cost from a wholesale perspective. There were sellers losing money on record after record after record. And I was just like, what's the point of this? Like, you're barely breaking even or losing money, and you still got to ship all these records out and deal with it. I'm like, this is not a way to scale a business. So maybe that's different. Maybe that was just the seller I saw that night, and that's on the new vinyl side. And then on the used pre-owned side, kind of I think what you were pointing to, Andy, is this. I don't know if sketchy is the right word. I just saw people selling garbage. I saw people putting up bargain bin $3 records, and they were selling for $1. And then you got to deal with shipping a record for $1 and pay $5, $6, $7 shipping on it. It's just looked like a total waste of time to me. I would never sell anything online less than 10 or 15 bucks probably, because it's just not worth it at that point to ship it, in my opinion. Like, not one record. Maybe if you're selling in bulk, got a whole, a bulk of 10 or 20 records that are lower value, maybe that can be lucrative, and interesting and valuable to the customer. But for me, whatnot is a big question mark still. So we'll see where it goes. I don't know how it evolved. I know they started in like sports cards, I think, and that's been big for them. And now they're expanding into these other kind of segments of collectibles and things. So it's interesting. It's an interesting idea. Technology is an evolving thing. Maybe the audience will go along with it. I'm not really sure. I just know at the current time when I checked it out, which was not long ago, a couple months ago, I was just not into the format. So thanks for the question, though. Appreciate it, Andy. Um, what brand of inner and outer sleeves do you use? That is a good question. I'm going to be right back. I'm just going to show them to you. So I use a variety. I kind of bounce back and forth on things depending on what's available because things go out of stock and what's most affordable. Let's see so these are the inners that I use right now. They are by a company called Invest in Vinyl. I hate to say it, but I bought them on Amazon. Yeah, I know, kind of crappy. They are really nice. They're affordable. I have gotten them before from other suppliers and distributors. I just didn't have time to search for them this time, and I knew they were a previous purchase, so I grabbed them on Amazon. So those are the inners I use. Sorry, this is really noisy. And then the outers I use, which are really clean, crisp, and clear outer sleeve, which I like. They are by this company called Vinyl Fever. Looks like vinyl-fever.com. So, like I said, I've used a variety of them before. As long as you get the inners that are the kind of, the rice paper, the nice soft sleeves, you don't want anything paper if you can help it. So yeah, I don't use anything special. I just use stuff that I can find and just kind of stay with the same quality. There's a lot of companies that make basically the same product and they put their name on it. So the inners and outers, you just got to make sure that the nicer quality ones. So like the MoFi ones, yeah. Yeah, Hudson Hi-Fi inners comparable to MoFi's and Best of Vinyl. Exactly. They're almost all the same. You just kind of shop around and find the best price for the majority of those. Let's see. Nick, going back to bootlegs, why can some be sold in independent stores, but Discogs blocks a lot because of copyright infringement? Discogs blocks them all because they're not legal. That's why. But when you're in a mom and pop store or a record store of any kind, you're typically off the radar, I guess you could say, versus putting yourself out there online and exposing yourself to the powers that be that will shut you down. So if you're a company like Discogs, you don't want to facilitate the sale of mass amounts of these things versus an independent store that may sell a few copies, kind of two different things. It's a blurred line legally, of course. So you need to be careful there. Store owners need to be careful on all fronts. Any inside news on typo negative LPs? I know they're coming actually. Let's see, typo negative. I want to say, was it Bloody Kisses? I think it was Bloody Kisses. That's the one that's got the new. No, I'm sorry, Dead Again. So Dead Again. The release date on that one is 11/25. So we'll see if that sticks. That's Dead Again. Bloody Kisses. I don't think has a reissue that's been announced yet. So the only one I know of is again Dead Again, which is on green and black splatter. Really cool. I've sold a handful of these. I can put the link so you can see what it looks like at least if you hadn't seen it already, John. So here's the link to the Dead Again. There's that one, just so you can check it out. So I don't have any other insider info other than that. I'm kind of at the mercy of distributors, just like other record stores. We don't get much heads up, unfortunately. Typically, we'll get a few days if we're lucky. So let's see what else we got. Are those sleeves available in the UK? I would suspect if those specific sleeves aren't Leon, that there's some similar. They're pretty readily available. So do a search and you'll find them, I would think. RTS Gaming, what's your next concert you're most excited for? I mentioned it, you probably joined after. I'm going to see Pearl Jam, which is one of my favorite bands. Has been since I was about 12, 13 years old. Seeing them in Oklahoma City on the 20th of September. So we're about 2 weeks out. And then on the 22nd, flying to Denver to see them. Cannot wait. Back-to-back shows. Really excited for that. I mentioned earlier, I'm going to do a Pearl Jam video coming up just because I'm consumed with it right now. I'm taking my 12-year-old son to the Oklahoma City show. which will be his first Pearl Jam show. It'll be my oh man, which Pearl Jam show will this be for me? I'm going to setlist.fm because that's where I have all my concerts logged. Let's see, Pearl Jam. I've seen Pearl Jam 13 times, so this will be my 14th Pearl Jam show, which by comparison to some Pearl Jam fans is absolutely a joke. But for me, hey, 14 shows, I'll take it. So yeah, so this will be my 14th and 15th Pearl Jam shows. It'll be my son's first in Oklahoma City, and then going with the wife and some family to the Denver show. I'm really looking forward to that one as well. So I don't have a lot of concerts lined up throughout the rest of the year. I just saw Jack Johnson, which was cool. Trying to think what else we have tickets for. I don't know. There's probably a few in the fall, but the Pearl Jam ones are the big ones for sure. All right, just going through questions now. You guys keep bringing the questions. I'm cool with it. How long do you recommend to use a record after a wet clean? I'm paranoid if it could ruin the needle. Record before it dries. Um, Seconds. Typically, when I do a wet clean, which is normally just with a spray bottle, if I'm not putting it in my actual ultrasonic cleaner, which I don't use near as often as I like to, but if I'm just doing a wipe down, I'll do a dry wipe to make sure that to get any dust and anything loose off of it, and then a little bit of a wet wipe, and just make sure it's completely clear. And I put it right on the table. I don't. I mean, obviously, you don't want any moisture still there, but again, it's about using the appropriate amount of spray. If you're going to really drench the thing, then yeah, you may want wait a little while. If you're just using a little bit and again spraying it on the rag or the cloth, hopefully a very nice microfiber cloth, that should be fine. I don't think there's anything bad about that unless you've got a bunch of excess moisture, which you don't want. So from the UK, hi from the UK. Quick question: who is the best for you, Slint or Fugazi? You're over my head with this one. I don't know who Slint is. I am familiar with Fugazi, but I'm not a big fan. I don't own any of their records. I know they're a very iconic and influential band. Obviously, a lot of people I do listen to cite Fugazi as one of their influences, but it's just not someone I've ever gotten into myself personally. So I can't. I don't have a big opinion there. Chris, I bought an accidental bootleg of a Danzig new one at one of my locals a few years ago. Wasn't labeled as such, same cover. Yeah, it happens. And that's the thing these days, especially with digital printing. You know, you can replicate just about anything, legally or illegally, just because of how good scanners are and how good printers are. So I've seen bootlegs, unofficials look absolutely incredible, and I've seen them look terrible. And that basically comes down to the amount of time and TLC that a designer and a production and manufacturing people want to put into it. So yeah, definitely run the gamut. Oh man, yes, you just saw Pearl Jam in Ottawa. That set list was great. This was the one just last night or so, where they opened up with the whole acoustic show. Or at least like 5 or 6 songs acoustic. That was fantastic. I would love to see a set like that. And Pearl Jam's playing shorter sets these days than they were a few years ago, pre-pandemic. They used to always play 30, 35 songs, which is crazy. Shows used to last 3 hours, which was phenomenal. But they're older now. The audience is older now. So I think getting 25 songs or whatever they've been playing is still well worth my time. So I'm excited for it. That set list in Ottawa did look great though. Why are you, Tony, from Tony Putin? Why are used vinyl prices for premium tiles like Led Zeppelin going through the roof? Well, that's a pretty easy one, Tony. Honestly, it's supply and demand. It is the fact that so many people started collecting in the last couple of years um, because of the pandemic. Was a big part of that. It's not the only factor, but that was a big part of it. So yeah, it's made prices go up everywhere on everything for the most part. There's not a lot of genres unless you go into genres that are not really collectible, but to the masses at least. Rock, soul, R&B, hip hop, metal, punk, all that stuff. Prices have gone up on all of it. So Led Zeppelin being in my opinion, top tier premium, what I would call a premium artist, along with the Beatles and Black Sabbath and Pink Floyd and Queen and Tom Petty, those top tier artists from a sales perspective, from an exposure, from just how big of icons they are. They're always going to be sought after. So, I don't put any Led Zeppelin record in any of my shops. That's If I put it there, it doesn't matter what it is, it does not sit for longer than a few days typically, and that's usually a long time. They move fast because people are after them, and people are still acquiring those collections, or still building their collection. And Led Zeppelin's got a pretty decent discography, so always stuff that sells, always stuff that I look for when I buy. Not only because I'm a massive fan, but because it's stuff that other people look for as well. So, yeah, I did. I noticed that. I read about Ed and his ankle, or whatever, and him limping. So hopefully he'll get better. Hopefully he doesn't have to sit down and play like Zach did from Raging Against the Machine. I saw Raging Against the Machine at Madison Square Garden a few weeks back, and Zach was sitting the whole time, which we anticipated was going to be a huge bummer. But in reality, it didn't matter. There was still so much energy, so it was cool. But hopefully Ed gets better. Um, Chris says, I always start the used bin. The used are pricier than the reissues, not first version, just older. It's getting crazy. That's a video topic I've actually got on my list, Chris. I've had this question many times where people will say, why are new vinyl reissues more more expensive than the original? And this is not the case with every artist, but the example I was given was someone was in a Walmart, I believe, or a Target, and there was a new copy of, like, I think it was Billy Joel, could have been Elton John, sorry, one of those, and it was a $25 new record where, the original or even the early pressings of that same record, which let's say was from the late 70s, I don't remember the specific one, you can find for $5, $10 typically. Well, there's a very good reason why that is. Why the question was, why does it even exist? Why are Walmart or Target or a record store of any kind, why are we selling reissues of albums that are easily attainable for much less money? Well, I can tell you why. Because there is a huge contingency of record collectors, of vinyl buyers, whatever you want to call them, who don't have a record store around them at all, which means they have no choice but to buy new records, for the most part in person. And more importantly, that is that there's a lot of people, new collectors especially, who have no idea how to buy pre-owned records, and they're completely intimidated by it. If they walk into my record store or any record store and they see a brand new copy of, I'll just use Fleetwood Mac Rumors. It's the one I always use. Brand new copy, Fleetwood Mac Rumors, $25, which is a normal retail price for that record. It's sealed, it's pristine. The cover is so nice and white. It was just printed, 25 bucks. Right next to it could be a pre-owned copy, which maybe isn't the first pressing because there was a million of those made, but a million of that album in general. But let's say it's an early pressing from the 70s of Fleetwood Mac Rumors. It's got a little bit of ring wear. The vinyl may be in VG to VG plus shape, may play great. If I'm a brand new collector, I've never bought records except for the last few months when I started. And most of what I've bought has been given to me as gifts, or I bought at a record store or a big box shop, and it's all been new stuff. Why would I choose that old copy that I'm completely unconfident about, right? Maybe it costs $5, $10 less, and maybe down the road I'll understand that maybe, man, I should have picked up that original copy. But from a confidence perspective, new vinyl buyers are so much more confident in buying something that's shrink wrapped and new and crisp and pristine. Yes, we can get into the conversation around quality control and is that new record going to sound as good as the old one? These are all great conversational topics. Like I said, it deserves a video for sure, but it's an easy explanation for me because there's a lot of people who don't understand it all, and they're like, why in the world is anyone wasting a pressing plant's time pressing album A, B, and C that are very common, right? That's the thing. It's common records, the ones that were produced in the late 70s and 80s in mass. And if you know where to find them and you have the confidence to pick out a good one, it's completely confusing why anyone would go pay double that price at a big box store or at a record store. But the reality is everyone's not you. There's a lot of people who are brand new to this, and they don't know how to buy pre-owned vinyl. They don't know how to look at it and know if it's going to sound okay. They don't know if they should care that the jacket isn't that great. It's not perfect, and so there's just a lot of questions for a new vinyl collector who's completely new to this thing when it comes to used records versus new records. So that's my opinion. I've heard that from a lot of people. I've actually heard from more people in the last, let's say, year or two who only buy reissues. To me, that's crazy because I've been doing this and I love going for the original stuff. Of course, the early pressings, I would always buy something if the condition is good. A reissue, an original versus a reissue for the most part. But that's not everybody. There's a lot of new collectors in this game. So, anyways, that was a long rant. Thanks for the question, though, Chris. Like I said, that's a video for sure that's on the list. I just need to get to it. All right, Leon, do you have any KPM library records in your private collection or similar? KPM library. I don't know what that is. KPM library. Is that KPM library records? Huge, diverse, and growing library recording specifically produced for using in films. No, I do not have anything like that. I'm honestly not a huge film guy, which is probably the reason for that. I have one cube-ish of soundtracks of iconic movies that I really love, mostly music movies. Outside of that, I don't collect a lot of compilations and soundtracks and stuff. I prefer to listen to, as a generalization, full albums by a single artist. So that's 98% of my collection, I would say. What's up, Snowy from the UK? I've ordered Kiss Creatures on 3 vinyl albums. It says at slower speed. Will the sound quality be better? This is a somewhat debatable, I guess, of the 45 RPM versus the 33. So there is definitely a contingency of people who believe that half speed mastered, which means they're mastering it half the speed at 45, that it's all marketing. There's another contingency of audiophiles who believe that if it's mastered at a 45 versus a 33, it's going to be more inconvenient because it's probably going to be a double LP now. You're going to have to get up and flip it multiple times, put on the second record and flip it too. So there's definitely an inconvenience. And a lot of people hate that. But there is more space for the music. That is the reason why a lot of audiophile pressings are 45 RPM versus 33, because literally the grooves, if you imagine a groove and a record, the needle is in that groove, 45 RPM, it has more space. And so you have more room for dynamics and more room for clarity as far as the music is concerned. So now, do you have a turntable and an amplifier and the speaker system that will allow you to tell the difference between the 45 and 33? Do I don't know. It's very difficult. You've got to have a really good ear to be able to hear these things. I kind of have that discussion a lot with people. It's like I say, I'm not an audiophile. I am a vinyl collector and I love music and I have tons of it. I don't have a turntable and a stereo system that costs $50,000, $100,000. I just don't. I don't have it. I don't really aspire to it. Like I want to keep things in balance. I want to be able to listen to my music and really enjoy it, but I don't put myself in that audiophile category. I doubt I ever will. But that's when you get into when you get into speed, as it pertains to sound quality. There's differing opinions there. I have 45 RPM records that sound fantastic. I have tons of 33s that sound fantastic. So it really just depends on the pressing in a lot of cases. Any word of Dave Matthews Band repress of Before These Crowded Streets or Trapped Headstrong albums? I don't think Trapped has ever been pressed on vinyl. I could be wrong. I'm not sure there. That was definitely the dark days of vinyl. That had to come out like mid 2000, right? Headstrong. I'm trying to find their 2002. Yeah, dark days of the vinyl. Believe me, I know for firsthand. I was in a band in 2002, 2003, released a record on a major label, and I remember having a discussion with our A&R rep at MCA Records about, hey, are we going to get our record pressed to vinyl? And this is 2003, so right around that time. And he said, at that point, the only artist who got anything pressed to vinyl on that label, which was MCA, owned by Universal, was like the top 5% of artists got their records pressed on vinyl still because no one was buying vinyl. And he told me that if unless we sold at least 50,000 copies, we wouldn't even have a shot to get it on vinyl. So, you know, Trapped probably sold more than that. They were a much more popular band, but you get what I'm saying. As far as Dave Matthews Band, I suspect that's coming. You know, Crash has come back. Under the Table Dreaming has come back. I would hope they're working on Before These Crowded Streets because there's a lot of people who love that record. And so if I was a betting man, I would bet that it's going to be reissued, but I have no insider information, unfortunately. Chris, a cousin lives in Plano, so I pointed him your way. Do you know if you've got any Hayes Carl in any of your shops he's looking? The only shop I may have some Hayes Carl would be in my Highland Village location, which is on the other side of town from Plano. So, but the best bet is to look online for that stuff. You can shop online on our website, shop.ntxvinyl.com, and you can choose local pickup. So let him know you can shop on our website, grab anything if he does see something, and he can pick it up locally if he doesn't want us to ship it to him. So, um, 45 will always have the ability to sound better, simply more groove space. Yeah. In short, yes, like you would suspect, but it's still there's definitely scenarios where a 45 RPM record can be mastered poorly and still not sound good. Because so much of it comes down to not only the speed, but the mastering process and the mastering engineer, and then the actual cutting and the pressing. Like things can mess up in any of those steps. So it's not just, oh, it's 45, it's going to sound better. Like, yes, in theory, that would be fantastic, but there's a lot more that goes into it than that. But yes, you're right. That in theory is supposed to help because of the groove space, like I mentioned. So why are they not pressing Beatles standalone mono records when they are in such high demand? The only way to get one is to pay 3 or 4 times real retail value on the aftermarket. It's a good question. Talk to the Beatles camp. Like, a lot of it just has to come down to priorities. Um, Lots of those things, when you've got an artist like that, you can imagine how booked out the Beatles estate is with projects. They've probably got projects lined up for the next 5 years, and they could go another 10 after that and still not fulfill all the demand. That's the thing. It's like they have to decide what they want to work on. In this case, and this will lead into my next topic, as it looks like we're wrapping up Q&A a little bit, but um, the Beatles Revolver was just announced as the next uh, deluxe reissue that's coming, which is a 4 LP set. You got mono and new stereo mixes. I think there's a CD, DVD, booklet, all kinds of stuff. Was just announced today, I think actually. So that's just an example of like they're working on stuff that is kind of more net new. They want to uncover. They want to create new mixes, new versions. They want to create new packaging. Yes, I think the mono stuff should be more readily available. I would love a copy of that mono box set, which goes for like couple $1,000. Missed out on that back in the day. But yeah, it's hard to come by. I do have one Beatles mono set. Oops, sorry about that. This one here, I was glad to get this one. This is a mono masters set that's really nice. It was readily available like just a year or so ago. I think it's a triple gatefold. Yeah, it's really nice. 3 LP mono masters with a great track list on the back full of, so this is kind of a gem. I wish I would have bought a lot more of them a year or two ago when they were readily available, but it's been a while now. So anyways, there's an example of that. Yeah, it does make sense as 12-inch singles seem to sound better. Thank you. Yeah, no sweat. McCarthy, yeah, Van Halen, MoFi, exactly. It's going to be 2, 3 tracks per side. Some people hate it. I don't mind it. I'm a vinyl guy. Like I'm used to getting up. If I'm going to get up every 7 minutes versus 10 minutes, does that really make a difference? No, I'm spinning vinyl. If I don't want to get up, I'm just going to stream the damn thing. For me, if I'm going to be in my listening room and I'm going to be dedicated to it, like I don't mind getting up. Like 7-inch singles, okay, maybe that's a little much every song, but every couple songs, if I'm going to get up, it forces me to pay attention to the record. It forces my attention to the music, which is a big part of why I believe vinyl is so different than every other format. So for me, sign me up. I'm all over the Van Halen MoFi remasters. I didn't do all of them. I know I did Vinyl 1. I did 1984. I may have done one. I didn't do Women and Children first. I may have done two. So, anyways, um, as a Pearl Jam guy, do you have Under the Covers? I've been thinking of getting it, but wondering about the sound quality. I'm pretty sure I do have it, but I'd have to dig through it. My stack of Pearl Jam bootleg unofficial stuff is like that big. I'm pretty sure I do have the Under the Covers one. I think there was a blue vinyl, and if I remember correctly, it's just got a picture of Eddie on the front. Most of them are okay. They're not like amazing quality, but most of that stuff was soundboard stuff from the Bridge School benefits. If I remember correctly, there may have been some full band acoustic or electric stuff on there too, but I don't remember that one specifically. So, all right. So if there's more questions, y'all keep them coming. I'm happy to keep going. The only other stuff I was going to talk about, I was going to go through new releases. So stuff that comes out this week. So the Beatles Revolver Deluxe, I think, is a huge release. Other new releases that are dropping this week. The Reverend Horton Heat, if you're not familiar with the Reverend Horton Heat, he's got Sub Pop is reissuing a variety of his albums. I think 3 or 4 of them. I'm super excited for those because they have been long out of print. He's a Dallas-based artist. If you're not familiar, kind of like a psychedelic rockabilly thing, which is just super fun. So I love the Rev. Another big release this week is Patient Number 9 by Ozzy. There's an couple different indie exclusives of that one that are coming out. I haven't heard the record yet. I don't know if it's any good. Power Man 5000, Tonight, The Stars Revolt. That's a big release this week coming out. I'm going to have that in stock soon. That was their big album. There's a new Charlie Crockett album coming out called The Man from Waco. That's another local musician who's from the Dallas area. Throwback country artist, really great. Spoon, I didn't realize I had so many local artists on this. Spoon's an Austin-based artist. Their 2002 record, Kill the Moonlight, which is a great record, being reissued on white vinyl. I'm hoping to get that soon. And then there's the Glenn Hansard, the original Glenn Hansard project, which is called Swell Season. That's getting reissued this week. I think that's going to be a hard one to come by, but I'm hoping to get my hands on that one as well. So a lot of new releases that are coming up, and excited about those. Those are just some highlights. That's the thing. I with these live videos, I'm planning on touching on new releases, things that are upcoming. But you got to keep in mind, there's like hundreds of new releases dropping every Friday. So for a small independent store, it's a job. Like, I'm not kidding. It's a job to sift through all that to figure out what I want to buy based on what I think is going to sell. And if I buy the wrong stuff, it sits around forever, and then I have to figure out a way to move it. So it is taking time to zero in on like who my customers are. And for the most part, I'm selling to people like me. Like, if you bought anything from me, or you've seen any of my sales, or you follow any of my stuff, the vast majority, I'm talking 95% of what I sell is what I love. Like, I hope I can do that forever. Like, I'm starting to diversify a little bit here and there because that's good. Diversity is good for everybody, myself included. But most of the stuff, when I go in to look at what's coming out on any given week, of the hundreds of releases that I've got to sift through, I'm always hopeful to find 5 or 10 or 20 of net new releases, whether it's new albums or just reissues of stuff that I really love, because then I can feel really confident putting it on my shelves, selling it online, whatever it may be. So that's really how I operate, and I'm going to try and hold on to that as long as I can. So the new release thing is great. I love this. There are other YouTube channels I've seen them where they go through the top 50 new releases every week, and they show pictures of it, and it's awesome, very informative. Like, I didn't feel the need to repeat that. So for me, this is going to be just a way for me to highlight the new releases, reissues, and things that I think are cool. So that's kind of what that list was, as far as the Beatles and Ozzy and the Rev and Spoon bands, again, that I love and listen to. So all right, let's see what else we got here. Anything? No question, just a thank you to you and Rex and the Facebook. I've made new friends and found it. Really appreciate it, Chris. Yeah, so if you guys aren't familiar, not to promote you to other places, but if you're on Facebook, what Chris is referencing is this group right here. This is what we call Now Spinning. The Now Spinning group is, I think we've got about 3,000 people in it now. I started it about 2 years ago. It's a branch off of the NTX Vinyl Facebook page. It is a public group, and it is there for one reason, and that is just for people to show off what they're spinning and converse with other good people. It's a really respectful community of people, which for the most part on Facebook is hard to find. I think the group as a whole has taken on an aesthetic that really supports diversity of genre, of format, and again, everyone's just super respectful. So it's a great place. If you're not a member of Now Spinning and you're on Facebook, you should check it out and join. Love to see you there. Let us know you came from the YouTube channel. So, is every copy of Live on Two Legs RST warped? I don't think so. I had my copy wasn't warped. I've got the clear one. Well, I have an original one, but I had gotten the clear one, and I also got the Pearl Jam, the 10 Club exclusive. I think was on gold. Neither of mine were warped, but that's just the way it goes. You know, it happens these days. Do you know if the MoFi controversy? Another question from Tony. Do you know if the MoFi controversy has boosted sales for competing audiophile labels like Analog Productions, TonePod, etc.? No, I don't know that. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all because anyone who's a collector, I'm generalizing, of course, but I would say just about everyone who's a collector of mobile fidelity records is aware of their other options and the other, like you mentioned, Analog Productions and Tompo and all those different types of other labels. And so, you know, where are they going to spend their dollars? You know, who are they more confident with? Who are they happier? Who are they happier with because of the controversy? You know, so yeah, I would suspect it's going to do nothing but help those companies. I fear that it's going to sink MoFi to some extent, just because of the reputation. But it remains to be seen. You never really know. I think it's a shame because I think MoFi puts out a quality product and they stand behind it, and they got caught in a lie, and I don't know if they can claw their way out of that hole. I really don't. I think it'd be a shame if they went away because they put out a great quality product, and I think I've said it over and over again. My cube of MoFi records, still some of the best sounding records in my collection, regardless of if they had that digital step in there or not. So, um, all right, so let's see what else we got. Any other questions? I'm happy to answer. 43 people on. You guys, this is great. Let me know, please, if you don't mind, if this is worth it. Like, if you want to sit here and hang out with me, I'm thinking I might do this every Wednesday around this time, midday, which is not ideal for a lot of people, but it is ideal for me. So I'm going to plan to do this NTX live thing and have a number of standing topics like the new releases, like what I'm listening to, any NTX vinyl related announcements, just to keep people informed there. And then I think the Q&A portion is huge. So if this is something that's valuable you want me to do. If people obviously don't tune in, then I'll stop doing it. That's fine, no big deal. But if people are here and they want to continue to have a conversation around it, I'm happy to do it. So yeah, awesome, Chris. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's the thing, is that a lot of people are still from home or have always been from home. So maybe it's a good lunch break type of thing. People will take a break. So I will keep pressing forward with NTX Live. We'll see how it goes. I'm hoping to do it, like I said, every Wednesday. It'll be a little sporadic for the next couple of weeks, especially that week when I'm seeing Pearl Jam. I'm not going to be able to do it that week. But other than that, I will keep the pedal down and keep pumping it out. Like I mentioned, I've got a lot of other videos planned, and tonight is the next Vinyl for Sale video. So everyone tune in. Like I said, 8 o'clock Central. I'll drop some promotional um, information about it. I've got some great stuff coming. I've got OK Computers back in print. I'm super excited to have that one. So tune in tonight for that. I've got a whole bunch of this colored Slipknot reissues still available. I've got stuff from bands that I love, like Nirvana, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, but then I've got some hip hop stuff for the first time. I've got some really cool classic rock stuff that I haven't had in stock for a while. So yeah, it runs the gamut. And like I said, it's usually stuff that I enjoy. So any other questions, let me know. Obviously, you can always reach me directly via email at info@ntxvinyl.com if you want to reach out. Obviously, you can shop online. I was going to mention too, lastly, there's a new page on our site actually. If you shop for new vinyl, this is one of the best places to go, and that is ntxvinyl.com/back in stock. This is one to bookmark. Sometimes the stuff is I've got better prices online than I even do in my sales. It just depends on what distributor is supplying it and when I get it and when I do the sale. But yeah, so I'll have good stuff tonight on vinyl for sale, and bookmark that back in stock link because that's a good one for everything we do as far as albums that are coming and going. They come quick, like stuff will pop up, be there for a day or two, and then it'll be gone again. So um, all right. Appreciate it. Gordon, thank you. Love talking with people in the UK. That's super exciting that I can do that all the way from Dallas, Texas. So I'm going to sign off. We will see you again next time. Like I mentioned, vinyl for sales tonight. I'll have another episode of talking about records probably by this weekend. And we'll try and do this every Wednesday if we can. So we'll see you then and appreciate the time as always.